For centuries, Greenland remained a frozen, isolated frontier. But the Arctic is warming at an unprecedented rate, transforming this vast island into a geopolitical flashpoint. As ancient ice sheets recede, they are uncovering vast deposits of critical minerals, elements essential for modern technology, from smartphones to electric vehicles and advanced weaponry. This isn't merely an environmental shift, it's a strategic remapping of global power dynamics, forcing nations to recalculate trade routes, resource dependencies, and military postures. We'll simulate this unfolding battle, examining the stakes, the players, and the potential for a new era of resource competition in the Arctic. The speed of Arctic ice melt is staggering. Data from NASA indicates that Greenland alone lost an average of 279 gigatons of ice per year between 1993 and 2019. This continuous retreat isn't just raising sea levels, it's physically exposing landmasses previously locked under kilometers of ice. According to a report by the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland, these newly accessible areas hold some of the world's most significant untapped mineral reserves. The very glaciers that once shielded these resources are now inadvertently clearing the path for their extraction, redefining the economics of access. Beneath Greenland's melting surface lies an estimated $1 trillion worth of rare earth elements, uranium, zinc, gold, and other strategic minerals. A 2011 study by the U.S. Geological Survey identified significant deposits in several regions, most notably at Kvænfeld. These aren't just any minerals; rare earth elements, or REs, are crucial for renewable energy technologies, defense systems, and consumer electronics. The sheer scale of these potential resources has transformed Greenland from a remote outpost into a coveted prize, sparking intense international interest and investment overtures, particularly from nations seeking to secure their supply chains. The global market for rare earth elements is projected to reach $18.6 billion by 2027, according to market research firm Fortune Business Insights. Currently, China dominates the supply chain, accounting for over 80% of global rare earth production and processing. This near monopoly presents a significant vulnerability for Western nations and technology companies. Greenland's vast, untapped reserves offer a potential solution to diversify this critical supply, shifting the balance of power in an industry essential for future innovation and national security. The race to develop these mines is a race for strategic independence. Extracting minerals in the Arctic is an undertaking fraught with unique challenges. The harsh climate, permafrost, and limited infrastructure drive up operational costs significantly. A report by the Arctic Institute highlights that mining projects in Greenland face regulatory hurdles, environmental impact assessments, and securing consent from local communities. Moreover, the sheer scale of the investment required, often billions of dollars, demands long-term political stability and robust international partnerships. Companies must navigate a complex web of logistical, environmental, and ethical considerations, making Greenland a high-risk, high-reward proposition. Beyond minerals, melting ice is radically reshaping global trade routes. The fabled Northwest Passage and the Northern Sea Route, once impassable for much of the year, are becoming increasingly viable shipping lanes. An analysis by the Danish Maritime Authority projects significant increases in Arctic shipping traffic over the next 2 decades. These routes promise dramatically shorter transit times between Europe, Asia, and North America, bypassing congested choke points like the Suez and Panama Canals. The animated digital globe illustrates this shift. A vessel sailing from Rotterdam to Yokohama could cut thousands of nautical miles, translating into substantial savings for global logistics. The economic implications of these new Arctic shortcuts are profound. For example, a journey from Shanghai to Hamburg via the Northern Sea Route is approximately 3,000 to 5,000 nautical miles shorter than the traditional Suez Canal route. This translates to a reduction of 10 to 15 days in transit time for many voyages, according to a study by the Fridtjof Nansen Institute. When factoring in fuel costs, crew wages, and insurance, these time savings can amount to millions of dollars per voyage for large container ships. This efficiency gain offers a compelling incentive for shipping companies, fundamentally altering the calculus of global logistics and trade strategy. As commercial traffic increases, so does the strategic importance of securing these new shipping lanes. This has led to a significant increase in military presence in the Arctic. Satellite imagery and defense reports confirm a surge in naval activity, with warships from multiple nations conducting exercises in formerly inaccessible waters. Russia, in particular, has heavily invested in its Northern Fleet and Arctic military infrastructure, according to a recent report from the Center for Strategic and International Studies. This includes refurbishing Cold War-era bases and deploying advanced radar facilities along its frozen coastlines, signaling a clear intent to assert dominance. The Arctic is rapidly becoming a key theater in the broader geopolitical competition between the United States, Russia, and China. For Russia, the Northern Sea Route is a domestic waterway it claims sovereign rights over, linking its vast energy resources to global markets. China, while not an Arctic nation, declared itself a near-Arctic state in 2018, pursuing its Polar Silk Road initiative to integrate Arctic shipping into its Belt and Road infrastructure. The U.S., through its allies Denmark and Canada, seeks to maintain freedom of navigation and prevent any single power from dominating the region. This creates a complex strategic triangle. The competition for Arctic influence is stark between the U.S. and China. Washington views Beijing's growing presence, especially its investments in Greenlandic mining projects, with concern, citing potential national security implications. A 2020 Pentagon report warned that China's Arctic ambitions could enable a military presence. Conversely, China frames its Arctic engagement as purely economic and scientific, seeking access to resources and new trade routes. This ideological clash is reflected in diplomatic maneuvering and investment strategies, as both powers try to sway Greenland and Denmark, underscoring the island's pivotal role in this high-stakes rivalry. Greenland, while part of the Kingdom of Denmark, enjoys significant autonomy. Its government has substantial control over resource management and foreign investment, a crucial factor in this geopolitical drama. This self-determination empowers Greenland to negotiate directly with global powers, balancing economic benefits against environmental concerns and cultural preservation. However, its small population of around 57,000 means it remains highly dependent on Danish subsidies, a leverage point in broader geopolitical discussions. The decisions made in Nuuk will determine not only Greenland's future but also have reverberations across international relations. Amidst the rush for resources and strategic advantage, the environmental impact remains a critical concern. Melting glaciers contribute to global sea level rise, threatening coastal communities worldwide. Large-scale mining operations pose risks of pollution to fragile Arctic ecosystems, impacting wildlife and indigenous communities' traditional ways of life. Scientists from the Arctic Monitoring and Assessment Program continually publish data on the cascading effects of climate change in the region. Balancing the economic imperative with environmental stewardship presents Greenland and the international community with a profound ethical and practical dilemma, one that demands careful consideration and sustainable solutions. Developing Greenland's mineral wealth and Arctic infrastructure requires massive investment. Chinese state-backed companies have historically shown willingness to undertake high-risk, long-term projects, often with significant upfront capital. Western nations, conversely, often rely on private sector investment, which demands clearer regulatory frameworks and quicker returns. This divergence in investment models creates a competitive landscape, as noted by researchers at the Wilson Center. The question of who pays is intrinsically linked to who gains control, making every investment proposal a strategic move in the broader geopolitical game for Arctic dominance. The rapid changes in the Arctic are straining existing governance structures. The Arctic Council, primarily a forum for cooperation on environmental protection and sustainable development, is ill-equipped to handle the escalating military and resource competition. Calls for a new, more robust governance framework are growing louder, as indicated by a recent policy brief from the Council on Foreign Relations. However, reaching consensus among competing powers, each with differing national interests and claims, remains a formidable challenge. The future of Arctic governance will likely dictate the stability of this increasingly vital region. Amidst the global power plays, the voices of Greenlanders themselves are paramount. Indigenous Inuit communities have lived in the Arctic for millennia, their culture deeply intertwined with the land and sea. Many express concerns about the potential erosion of traditional livelihoods due to industrialization and environmental degradation. While economic development offers opportunities, particularly for a younger generation, there's a strong desire to ensure benefits are distributed fairly and that cultural heritage is protected. This balance between progress and preservation is a recurring theme in local political discourse, adding another complex layer to the resource battle. The melting of Greenland's ice sheet has opened a new cold front. It's not a war of ideologies, but a battle for resources, trade routes, and strategic influence in a rapidly changing world. The stakes are immense: economic dominance, technological leadership, and national security. The interplay between climate change, geology, and geopolitics has turned this remote Arctic island into a pivotal theater. As we continue to witness the animated digital globe spin, depicting the increasing traffic and military maneuvers, it becomes clear that Greenland is not just a battleground for minerals, it's a barometer for the future of global power.